Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Kickass Readers Podcast. I'm RJ Botlow.
And I'm Joshua C. Chad. And today we're going to talk about the law of attraction and success and creative flow and gratitude and some other cool, awesome stuff. And here with us is Stevie Collier. I completely butchered his last name. Collier. I should have asked.
It's cool.
Always
cool. Yes, Stevie Collier.
Collier, sweet. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Stevie.
So I am Stevie Collier. I am a fantasy author, previously a dark fantasy author. I am the author of, well, I'm saying author a lot. I've never been interviewed on a podcast before. It's now like my armpits are sweaty, mom's spaghetti, you know?
Before Stevie goes on, I've got to say that from the Kickass Readers Podcast, we have to say thank you to the Fantasy Fiends podcast, of which Stevie is the second participant that has been on our show. And if you can see on the YouTube, we have the matching headsets. When we were starting this whole thing, we got a lot of advice from Stevie and Andy, and Stevie suggested the lightsaber headset. So thank you for all the advice so far, man.
Is that what it's called? Oh, you're very welcome. A lightsaber. It does kind of look like that. We can have a little lightsaber fight. You know what? This question probably should have been asked before we air, but like, are there any rules like cussing or anything? I don't cuss generally.
About the same as the Fantasy Fiends.
Okay, about the same.
Yeah, we keep it to a minimum, but I mean, we drop it a little bit here and there. We just try and not drop the F-bomb. That's about it.
Oh yeah, I don't do that anyway. So yeah, I'm Stevie Collier. I wrote the Dark Assassin series, which hopefully, guys, you will post a link below if you want. It was my first introduction into the author world. What we're about to talk about later on today is the reason why I was able to make 10 grand within a couple of months with the Dark Assassin series.
Wow.
And yeah, it was, but I was expecting it, anything I say on this podcast, I'm not trying to boast. I'm not trying to be like extremely prideful. I'm just really excited to show other people how they can do it, and it's as simple as using your mind. So I'm really excited about that. But yes, author of the Dark Assassin series. I am a co-host of the Fantasy Fiends podcast. Thank you very much for the shout out. And I am currently finishing up book 3 in my brand new series called The Bizarre Blades.
The Bizarre Blades, nice.
The Bizarre Blades, yes. It is a very risky book. It's extremely unique. People who have read it said it was a page turner, but extremely weird, which was exactly what I was going for. So,
there you go.
And if we have time today, maybe we can read chapter 1. But I'm already seeing we all like to talk a lot, so
yes. So one of the things we love, we've got several listeners / watchers who comment live, and Angel Ramon said, "Hey, it's not bragging, man. He does it all the time. Laugh out loud."
That's right. That he does.
Oh shoot.
Well, it's hello Jennifer and hello. Is it Angel?
I think it's just I don't know. I've always called him Angel, but I've never
Angel. Well, hello Angel. Hello Jennifer. Ask any questions you want.
Yes, questions are encouraged.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you guys are more
Jennifer's daughter too, so they're all up on it. Anyway.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's pretty gets interesting questions.
I'm posting it on Facebook right now.
And we are 5 minutes in and have gone on 5 tangents already, so that's about par for the course.
Perfect. Yeah, well, we'll ring it back in real quick because we got more tangents to go off on. We'll get into our first segment where we talk about sci-fi and fantasy news, and I think Stevie, you've got more of some personal news on your book, I think.
Yes, I do. I just sent out a newsletter about it, and I do all my newsletters now on video, which I highly suggest other authors do. Which was an inspired action, which we'll talk about. Wait, was I supposed to go on about my bad news?
You could if you want to. You could talk about it a little bit and about the cover and stuff.
You guys are so organized. I'm just like, what do I do? What do I do? I'm scared.
I'm glad you think so, because we're like, man, we're just tangent. We try and stay on the outline, but usually just we end up.
I'm like the most disorganized person. I'm so glad the webcam's just this way and not the rest of my room. Like I have a giant green screen and like a suitcase. I'm gonna shut up now. I don't want people to know that.
Dude,
oh my god,
it's on the interwebs. It's forever.
But yes, I do have some news. Well, I think we have a question. When did I start writing?
Yes.
Do you want me to just answer these as I see them, or
You can do it, or you can wait for me to ask them. Either way.
okay, yeah, you do that. I'm sorry,
Dude. It's the pirate code, man. It's all
this
guidelines.
is the first podcast I've been on.
Oh, really? It's the first one you've been on?
Yeah, this is the very first one I've ever been invited on.
So you have been the interviewer many times, but not the interviewee.
Exactly. So I'm trying not to like overstep my boundaries, I'm a loud person. But yes, y'all continue with y'all's news and stuff.
Well, go ahead and answer now. When did you start writing?
Okay. So I started writing whenever I was in 6th grade. I went to Catholic schools all my life, and I wrote a story about a weasel that went into an orphanage and slaughtered all of the orphans and used their intestines to kill the other orphans. So writing dark fantasy right off the bat. They said, and I asked them 3 times, can I write whatever I want? Can I write whatever I want? And so, of course, I got in trouble for that since the priest's office, which I was often in the priest's office, and came back, did it again with a story about a man's skin who got melted off because of rain, like an acidic rain, got sent to the priest's office for that. And then I wrote my first 80,000 word novel in high school, and it was just horrible. I mean, it was just garbage. A mixture of short stories that I'll never release because they're graphic and not what I want my brand to be about. And then I had a dream about the 4 territories and got a little crazy with some alcohol with a friend, and we kind of created this story called and it started out with me wanting to create a language for this world, which is a
so you Tolkien now, huh?
Yeah, I was, until I learned how hard it was. I think it lasted a day. I know how to say I am is stoano. Stoano was how you say I am. And then I threw that out the window. And I wrote this book within over a summer. I wrote every day. I wrote 1,000 words every day. And just to give you like an idea of how it's transformed, now I write 5,000 words a day.
Wow.
Now that it's almost a full-time business, but I have other businesses, so sometimes those get in the way. But yes, awesome, long story short, I started writing in 6th grade and just never stopped. I just calmed down. I calmed down, and now I actually don't write dark fantasy, which is a little strange. So coming of age, sword and sorcery.
Oh yeah,
nice.
Yep, those are good now.
Okay, now back to what we were originally talking about.
Sorry.
Okay, we're good. Love tangents. I'll get into the sci-fi fantasy news real quick. An article I found for you guys, which is exciting for me. I'm going to do a little bit of personal plug here as well. Lord of the Rings, Amazon Prime picked up the rights to Lord of the Rings. They're making a TV show. It's going to be awesome. They just tweeted a map of Middle Earth. They haven't released anything about it yet, but apparently they are working on it. And why that ties back in with me is I'm going to New Zealand in about 10 days, and I'll be over there for a couple months. So it's exciting because we're rewatching all the movies and The Hobbit and stuff. And so when I saw this news article, I'm like, oh, I got to share it, because the show's either going to be awesome or it's going to absolutely suck. But I'm hoping it's awesome. Although it's going to be hard to beat what they have now.
Yeah.
You're going to New Zealand? I'm freaking jealous. You rat. Why was I not invited?
Hey, if you can, either we chop you up into little pieces and put you in my suitcase, or you crunch up into my suitcase, we might be able to do it. I'm
rather flexible, but I'll go with option 1 because I like the dark.
Maybe you can get a dog crate. Does that work? Because they can fly like that, right?
I like wear a Scooby-Doo costume or something.
I don't know about international, though, but yeah. No, I like Scooby-Doo costume and a dog crate.
Woof, woof, woof. Oh, God.
Oh, that would be weird. Oh, love tangents. Just love them. So we'll go ahead and jump into our next segment, which is a weapon of the week. And Stevie, I think you're going to talk a little bit about the spear, and then we'll move on to our main topic.
Yes. So what a lot of people don't know about me is I actually wrote a lit RPG that did not do well. I quickly realized that lit RPGs are extremely difficult to write and can take a very long time, especially for someone who's trying to release faster. So I stopped it with 1 book. It got decent. I really enjoyed the story, which is, in my opinion, the most important part. And the main character, Tharis, I forgot. Wow, it's been a long time. Tharis, he has a spear, and the spear is my favorite weapon because I took martial arts for around 12 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes, for a really long time, and Kung Fu ended up being my favorite.
Nice.
And I always enjoyed messing around with the bow staff and the spear. I always thought it was the most efficient weapon, especially with someone who, because I'm not extremely tall, I wasn't also the strongest guy there. And the bow staff and the spear were actually pretty light. I could keep people at a distance. And with the spear, I mean, if you knew it in a Kung Fu way, you can disarm a lot. Some spears had a little hook that you could, pull shields down.
Oh, yep.
Yes, and I actually played Lord of the Rings Online, which is also where I played the Warden, which is with the shield and the spear. And I just love the combination of a shield and a spear. So we're going Spartan.
Yep.
But yeah, if I was going to be in a fight or some kind of zombie apocalypse and I don't have a gun, I'm going to pick up a spear. So if I'm in downtown LA, I'll carry my spear.
Actually, I never thought about a spear for zombies. That'd be perfect because you keep them at a reach, you stab, you don't have to worry about slashing.
The only thing that I would be afraid of is like they got stuck on it.
Would you have to do headshots too? Because that would be my concern
right
with the spear.
It'd be quite easy, right up here or right in here. Or eyes. Eyes are weak points too.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So they have this spear. I forgot what it's called, but it's super wobbly in Kung Fu. They use a lot in. Oh man, it's actually an acrobatic form of Kung Fu, and I cannot remember what it's called.
I know what you're talking about though.
What is it called? I can't
remember.
It's competitive, and they jump up and down. But it's this spear and one move is they'll shoot it in and out really quickly at their enemy, and it has this red feather on it, which takes the eye. It attracts the eye. And so you could do that with the zombie too. This looks weird on camera. But you just stab them really quickly instead of just long falling stuff. So I did not know I knew that much about a spear. I'm very proud of myself.
Oh no, I'm impressed. I'm actually I'm gonna write that down and use that for one of my new characters coming up.
Right.
Nobody can use the spear ever again.
I got the martial arts has definitely helped with the writing scenes. I like to add a lot of combat scenes. Yes. So I think I just wrote a scene about how to. So there's this form called Kali, which is part of Jeet Kune Do. Kali is its own form of arts though, and it's where you hold two sticks, which could also be swords. And I had this scene where they attack with a sword, and these swords collide. And I know a way to maneuver the sword around, pull the other person's sword down, and strike the throat. And I was really excited by how I wrote that. I thought it came out very beautifully. So
nice.
That's definitely something to follow this tangent because I like where it's going. That's something I want to do is as soon as I get to a town that's actually bigger, because right now we're 20 minutes outside of a town that literally has nothing, is I want to do some of that martial arts, at least just a couple of years and get the basics of fighting because I love writing fight scenes and I think my fight scenes are awesome, but it's all guesswork. Like I don't have any practical knowledge. It's all like guesswork or what I've seen. And I definitely can tell I've Hollywoodized it to where it's not like somebody who knew what they're doing read it. They'd be like,
yeah.
Well, even if you do take it, because I did Kung Fu for 3 years, and my Sufu with McClendon, who's been on this podcast, I sent him a beta read for my next Edgewalker book, and he said, "Hey, remember how in close quarters fighting it's not the same." And because one of my scenes, it was cool, but it was not gonna work. I mean, it was Hollywoodized. Like, they were jerking each other back and forth and swinging axes and stuff. And then he said, at that close, somebody's gonna get killed really fast with those things flying around. So
what art
rewrite
was it?
that. Do what?
What art was it that you took?
Mantis style Kung Fu.
Mantis style. So this, right, where you go for the pressure points.
Yeah, that's the origin of it. But we did how Sifu's I guess style of it wasn't as much pressure point hits. It was more the hooking, grabbing, and that part of it versus the pressure point. Yeah, Yeah. So that there was a lot more hooks. I mean, that with the Manus was more here, and you could go for pressure points or like in the eyes or whatever, but it was a lot more. How he taught it was more grabbing, disarming, how you moved, kind of
We
stuff.
could do a podcast on Kung Fu. Real quick, fun tip about Kung Fu. Alita, the new Alita movie, she uses a ton of Kung Fu. And in one scene, you see her actually do a Wing Chun move where it's really quickly inside, a close, I call it the barrage, where she's like, so the fists are inside. And you'll see it in her room scene, and it's super cool. So, but I won't go on any tangents anymore. So.
That's another bit of sci-fi fantasy news. That movie looks awesome.
It's so good. It's so good. I'm usually positive about movies, but I'm gonna go see this one again.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yes, I got a lot of writing ideas too from it. So.
Oh, that's freaking sweet.
Because I'm considering writing some sci-fi in the future. So.
Nice, man. You just do all kinds of different stuff, man.
I go crazy.
Well, we're going to go crazy into the main topic, which is the law of attraction. So for the first question, for all those people wondering, I was wondering.
Me.
Research. Yeah, exactly. What is the law of attraction, Stevie?
So the law of attraction is what most people will call New Age, but it's been around since the time of the Buddha. And also the Bible. And a lot of people will disagree with me on this, but if you just go read the Bible, like I could look up some verses. There's many verses in the Bible that talk about the law of attraction. And before I get into that, though, simply the law of attraction is what we think about, we attract. It's that simple. What we think about, we attract. I mean, it gets a lot more difficult than that. There's you have to go a lot deeper in order to really use it to your benefit. I discovered it when I was 8 with a book called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, and threw it away because I thought it was a bunch of trash. And at 13, I found The Secret, and The Secret changed my life. And it went into, from 13, now I'm 26, to constantly studying it. I mean, slightly on and off, but I've achieved tons of amazing feats at such a young age through the law of attraction. But I don't like saying it's through the law of attraction. It's through God, really, through the universe, through and really quickly I can go into the 4 or 5 steps on how to use the law of attraction.
Let's do it.
And let's say, bring it back to the book. So with the 4 territories, which is the book 1 in the Dark Assassin series, I would go to sleep. Before I went to bed, I would lay in bed. And the first thing I did was I asked God. I would, in my mind, say something like, God, I would like the 4 territories to be around 1,000 to 2,000 seller rank, book selling rank on Amazon. And then I would imagine that thought, this question, being put into a small rocket ship and sent off into the universe. So that's step 1, is asking. You would not believe how many people in this world have never asked God for anything. I mean, they beg, like, oh, God, please give me $1 million. It doesn't work that way. But have asked with certainty that you're about to receive something. And another thing is, people honestly don't even know what they want to do with their lives. They don't even know what car they would want if they had the money to get a car. So the law of attraction brings up all these things in your mind. And if you sit down and write a list of all the things that you want, you will automatically start moving towards those objects. Now, I'll go into non-belief and how the law of attraction can still help non-believers. And step 2 is believing that you already have what you have asked for. And it takes people have said it takes 17 seconds of visualization to start the manifestation process. And what happens is the universe aligns situations, it aligns people. Like, I believe 100% that the universe, God, aligned you guys on my path to help me to get where I want to be financially. And it aligns these things. It's, in my opinion, it is half mystical and it is half inspired action. You cannot sit on your bed and believe you already have a car and think in a couple of days you'll get it. It doesn't work that way. Yep. So step 2 is believing that you already have it. You want to do visualization of you. Let's say it's a car. You get in the car, you get in your truck, or if you're on the bus, you put your hands out and you pretend you're driving your Cadillac or your Mercedes. And you want to do that as much as you possibly can. Step 3 is the most important, and that is showing immense, genuine, and unwavering gratitude. you want to be extremely grateful for step 2, believing of what you already have. So you have to be very grateful. So let's say you wanted this Cadillac, or in my case, I wanted the 4 Territories to be a bestseller. I was already living day to day, going to my day job, grateful that this book was a bestseller. And it got to the point where I was delusional, thinking that the book had already released. That's the point that I got to. And through this, I was taking what's called inspired actions. I was reading books about how to publish a book, and these books would just come into my life. I would find them. I found Chris Fox's books. I found Write, Publish, Repeat. I read that. I've probably put in 200 plus hours of self-publishing information into my mind before I published my first book. All came into my life easily and freely because I was already grateful that this had already happened. Step 5 is my favorite, and that is receiving, being open and willing to receive. You wouldn't believe how we just don't want to receive something. It's like we push it away. And this can also come from having a lackful mentality, believing that we don't have it. Your faith is not good, and you have this lackful mentality like, well, it's not worked. It's been a day. I still only have $1,000 in my savings account, and you push it away. But you need to be open and realize that it's already there, and be happy about it, and just hold out your hand and receive it. That's step 5. And we get through all this. It's half mystical, half inspired action. So this was an inspired action. The YouTube video I sent out for my mailing list, inspired action. The business ideas that I had last night before I went to sleep, inspired action. I put those into use today. And quick proof of the law of attraction. And again, I'm not boasting, but I have manifested a 6-figure business with my father that I created with his product. So that allows me to do whatever I want every day. Too bad that I'm a hustler, so I work every day, all day. I have no social life. I work. I increase. What I do is I increase, and I try and increase others. All I worry about is value, giving value to others. That is my main focus, and that is how I created the 6-figure business, using the law of attraction and focusing on giving value. And real quick, for non-believers, let's say that you want to try the law of attraction and you're a huge non-believer. You think that it goes against Christianity, and you refuse to go look up the Bible verses. You know, as a man thinketh, so shall he become, I think is one of the Bible verses. And
I'll buy it.
Read it on Google. It's so weird. And these are in the Catholic Bible. These are in the Lutheran Bible. They're in the King James Bible. It's insane. And then you can also read the Lost Gospel of Thomas, which people don't believe is part of the Bible. But the whole book is about the law of attraction. The whole thing. There's not one sentence in there that's not about it. And for non-believers, if you give this a chance, I call it the Blaise Pascal gamble. And this gamble is, Blaise Pascal said, the gamble is for atheists, you are going to hell or you are going to rot in the ground. And I'm pretty sure they go with, you know, they're going to rot in the ground. They accepted this. Pascal said, why not accept Jesus into your heart? What do you have to lose, right? I mean, you have to fully have faith in Jesus Christ in your heart. I mean, you have to do that. If not, I mean, you're not actually doing the gamble. If you lose, you still rot in the ground. You win either way. Right? But that's the gamble. And I'd say that with the law of attraction. Give it a shot. Give it 100%. And give it 30 days. Give it 30 days. And I swear to God, you will change your life. I got goosebumps just now. And I love that you guys do the whole grateful thing at the end of the podcast. Real quick, I could show you something that I have, I guess. No.
Not that drawer. Not that drawer.
Not that drawer. Definitely not. This is my gratitude journal. And I try and write it in every day, depending on how long my meditations go. So I also use the law of attraction to manifest to attract my soulmate. And she has every single quality that I wrote down twice a day. And in my opinion, she is more important, obviously, than the 6-figure business. And I cannot be more excited for all the amazing things I'm going to manifest this year. I'm already grateful for so many things. And a big thing, too, is if you want that car, be grateful for what you already have. That's another big one.
Yeah.
And you may have to rewind and listen to this big rant over and over again. And if you ever want books to read, I would suggest one that you should read, and then is The Secret, as well as Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Those two. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill and The Secret. Those are really good starts to hopefully a lifelong journey for you guys and obtaining riches and wealth, because I want everybody to be as wealthy.
Well,
Sorry, there's a lot to it.
No, that's kind of cool, because I definitely initially I'm definitely resistant, because I see like it just seems too new agey to me. But I can definitely tell there's a lot of it, like parts of it that, I mean, it like you said, it's based in the Bible. I mean, it says in there a lot. I mean, ask and you shall receive, knock and the door shall be open. I mean, just a whole bunch of
there you go.
And also like, just, I mean, okay, so even if you don't believe in the law of attraction, there are still practical steps in those steps you were talking about, like being grateful for what you have, thinking positive. Because for me, I was researching it before this, and I'm like, oh, this is a bunch of hocus pocus. And then I started reading it, I'm like, no, it's actually, it's a way to, I mean, if you take out some of the mysticism, it's a way to change your perspective, to be grateful for things, and I mean, it's just, I was skeptical, but I'm actually, it's interesting. That's for sure.
If you take out the mysticism, 100%, which I never suggest anyone do, because that's the most fun part about it, is knowing that there is an all-powerful being helping you get through the maze to wealth.
Yep.
If you take out the mysticism, you are still increasing your awareness through meditation to brand new opportunities that you never would have seen. You're seeing the forest for the trees, forest for the trees, or whatever.
Yeah.
So you become more aware to options. So that is your practical approach to the law of attraction. You become more aware of opportunities.
And that was one of the things I was going to say. Like with your soulmate, is she your fiance, wife now? What?
Oh, she's my girlfriend. Her birthday was last weekend, and we've been dating for 6 months now.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
So, but just by the simple fact of you writing those down and looking at them multiple times, that's what you look for. It's front of mind. There's a lot of study on doing daily affirmations, which affirmations are self-statements. It's kind of this thing, like the ones I've been doing are, I'm a person who doesn't miss workouts. I am a person who gets up early to spend time with God and spend time on myself. Beautiful. I sacrifice, or I work, I can't remember what it says, but I work on myself so I can sacrifice for others. And just that kind of stuff. And it's not that you believe that there's magic that's just because you say the words that's going to happen. That's Harry Potter crap. That doesn't work.
You're rewiring your brain.
Yeah, exactly. You're rewiring your brain. So when you think about missing a workout, no, I don't. Sorry, gotta go do it. And it's really, a lot of the higher end business people and a lot of people think on these things, and it's what you fill your head with. You are what you continually think about. You are what you continually do. That's kind of the mentality I take on it. And I listen to a bunch of different podcasts, and most of them advocate some form of daily meditation on whatever you want to meditate on. And by meditation, I mean studying your Bible, reading, praying, doing the affirmations. It just clears your head and gives you a clearer focus on what you want to do.
That was awesome. That was beautiful what you said. Not to be nitpicky, but with your affirmation of I do not miss workouts, if you want to go the mystical way, you would change it to I work out every day. Because if you believe in the mystical part, the law of attraction, the universe of God, it sees the words I don't miss workout, and then it sees miss workout. But you could be right though too. You could just be saying, oh, sorry, I don't want to go that far into it. I think what you said is absolutely beautiful. You're so right. So the only reason I said it is because I get into the one big thing is you can say like, I don't get cancer. Well, your brain hears cancer. So you want to say, I am healthy. I am healthy.
I got you.
That's what you focus on. I'm healthy. I don't know. It's just, that is a very advanced technique of the law of attraction. It can scare people away. I shouldn't have brought it up, but
no.
It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. If you're doing everything else right, you're going to be fine. But real quick before I get into, my books about it, bringing it back to fantasy,
Yes.
which I'm surprised I'm doing. I'm very proud of myself for that. Because I could talk about this all day. And this is from Buddha. What you think you become, what you feel you attract, what you imagine you create. And so if you're not Christian, there's it from the Buddha. Just if you do a little bit of research, it's insane. And the people who have outwardly denied me the law of attraction, you know, saying it was, you know, fake and stuff, I always had more money than them, and I've always been more happy than them. And I know that's a harsh statement. It really is. But if I hang out with somebody for a week and I don't talk to them about God, I don't talk to them about spirituality, I don't talk to them about the law of attraction, I just hang out with these people, I can usually guess their financial, where they're at financially, just by the way they think, just by their thinking habits, which doesn't have to be mystical. It's just I know where their subconscious is. And everybody does it, though. Everybody does it. We all can feel from another person if they're successful or not. If somebody walks into a room and they light it up and they're walking around, clinking everybody's champagne glasses, laughing, joking, giving value to other people with hints and tips, you know they've got to be successful. You just feel it in the air. Anyway, I'll bring it back to fantasy now. I hope what I said helped anyone else out there who might have had questions about it, or who have heard of it. And if you have any questions, feel free.
You got distracted by the chat, didn't you?
Yeah. Sorry, I was reading the chat.
I never look. I get it constantly.
It's brought tremendous success in my life, and I'm extremely grateful every day. And not a day goes by that I take anything for granted. I mean, I am human, but I try and find those little things that I take for granted and quickly thank God for them. How it goes with my books. So the third book in the series is called Spawn of an Assassin, and I made one of the biggest mistakes you can as an author, and that is changing the protagonist mid-series.
Dude, really?
So,
I did it. I did it.
God.
Huge mistake, and I am paying for it every day. It was a flop, but it's an amazing book. So I'm going to have to rewrite a whole third book and then relaunch the whole series. So it might have been a blessing in disguise. And then book 4 could just be that, and then it could still flop. I don't care. But yeah, so that's something. I mean, for people who succeed, my girlfriend sent me this the other day. We go to our fail spot, then we go to another fail spot, then we go to another fail spot, all while rising, and then we hit the trophy of success. So that was one of my fail spots. And you see, I'm still writing. Like, oh no, my third book flopped. I don't want to do it anymore. No, I was like, it's all right. I'm already.
Have you been talking to the 5-year-olds I hang out with?
Yeah,
pretty
my girlfriend does that voice, and I'm kind of like taking it over now.
You also become the 5 people you hang out with the most. So,
you so do. You are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. It's so true, and that's unfortunately, I lost a lot of friends becoming an author and jumping into successful ventures. So. And I believe that the universe, God, just kind of pushed them away a little bit slowly but surely. So my third book, in my third book, there is a character named Makeo, and he's a extremely horrible person. He is a dick. Sorry, I didn't know how else to describe him. He's a horrible kid.
That's a good way to describe it.
And I can't tell you his relation to the main protagonist of the first 2 books. But he's horrible. He goes off on his own. He thinks that, just by being greedy and physically powerful, that he can do anything. Well, he gets a lot of people into trouble. He gets himself stuck in slavery as a gladiator. And he meets this master who's like short like Yoda too. And he's just this old blind man who teaches him that because he has a magical power inside him that he never realized. And this magical power is the law of attraction. But it does have a physical aspect to it, like it can reach out and hurt people.
Yeah.
And so this master teaches him through his thoughts and through believing that it has already been done, that is how he manifests this incredible power of extreme strength, extreme abilities, like let's say amazing kung fu skills. This all comes from him believing it. And he's so close-minded that this is the hardest part of the book for him. He's got the skills, he's got the strength, he's got the body for it. He's just got to get the mentality down
Yep.
because he's at an imbalance. He actually has the intelligence, he has the physical, but he lacks the spiritual. So the whole book is his spiritual journey, and there's a lot of bloodshed. I mean, the book is action packed.
Oh yeah,
And a lot of it's on his shoulders. And by the end of the book, he has a lot of blood on him. But it's through this master that he is able to look within, become aware, create this power, and then there's the end of the book. One other scene is he controls animals through this power by believing that he is speaking to it. And so yeah, I do use it in my books. This book it was a huge theme in book 3, but the powers of the protagonist in book 1 and 2 also uses the belief of there's something inside of me. I believe that I have. It's like venom, so it's like this black goo.
Ooh.
Yes, it's like venom.
Like
It's a parasite. It's an evil parasite that gets stuck within him, and then his master teaches him how to control the parasite rather than the parasite control him using his mind, and also bloodshed.
Yes.
So he has to by the end of the book, he has to switch thumbs because his first thumb is too scarred up and he can't get blood from it anymore. So it's blood magic with law of attraction belief. Yeah. So like if he wants to spear out that black goo, he has to believe it's already been done. And it's a law of attraction thing.
No,
I mean, it's not exactly. You can't really do that as a human, but it was so cool writing that.
Cool if we could.
The thing is, I didn't even know I was doing it when I wrote book 1 and book 2.
That was going to be my question. That was going to be my question.
I had no idea.
Oh, see, that's what when Ryan and I were doing some research right before the show about this, one of our questions was, could this be a magic system? And you answered that. I mean, it sounds like it makes the perfect magic system. It could be argued that most magic systems are based off of the law of attraction. I mean, right, look at the Green Lanterns and their rings.
That is basically.
That's it. They can't imagine it. They can't do it, and they got to believe.
Oh, I love the Green Lantern's actually one of my favorite superheroes, though.
I haven't done much comic book reading, but I like them. I always wanted one of the rings. That's for sure.
One of the rings. I think a ring would be very dangerous for any creator, like fantasy author, because they're so imaginative. So they can really do a lot of cool stuff with it.
That's exactly it. It could get yeah.
It could get
Are there any questions, Ryan?
No, I hadn't seen any questions. Everybody's kind of been deep in their own thoughts, I think. The last 4 comments are mine. So
the law of attraction it's a heavy subject. It's heavier than most people think. And I think I honestly scare a lot of people with my intensity with it. I guess because I live it every day and I know so much about it, and that's the one thing I study most besides self-publishing and the business courses that I take. And I am a little bit intimidating for a lot of people. Not most people, not some people, but when you come at them with the law of attraction into their face, they're like, "Oh, can you take a step back?"
Back up off me, son.
I always talk to Andy about it too, and I think just like, leave me alone, you hippie.
That pretty much would be what I feel like Andy would say.
No, that is Andy.
I think all of us kind of use it in our writing anyway. Like when you're writing a scene, it almost always if somebody's upset, they have to change their mind internally before they can get out of their upsetness. That's one of the reasons depression is so hard in the real world to break out of, is that all you can think is negative. I mean, it's just all weighing down on you, and it's just not. Thank the Lord I haven't had to deal with that, but it's hard. And that's why when when it rains, it pours. When you're down, somebody just kicks you. It's just their self-help.
Yeah, it's
whatever the word is. Self-repeating,
going down the hole, right? It's a negative thought creates more negative situations, and that's why they say getting off on the wrong side of the bed. That's law of attraction. That's getting out, being angry the first minute of the day, and then you start attracting more and more of these negative things. And if you want to take the mysticism out of it, it's because you're looking for it. You're looking for negative things.
Yep.
So we all do it. And that's why I always suggest to people when they wake up to do a list of 5 things they're grateful for. It's super easy. Your beating heart, the nail clippers you have in your bathroom, my Boba Fett cutout,
Yeah, I was gonna
the
say
fan
that's
that was
awesome.
blowing, my open window so I have natural lighting.
Yep.
The books that I was able to buy the other day, the books I was able to read the other day. So easy.
Yep.
It's a great way to start the day.
No, yeah, I like this. I think we could talk about this for another 3 hours because
Yes.
I'm thinking of all this stuff on how to relate it directly to like you're talking about to Christianity and practical things and like how like I've been learning to do stuff partly like law of attraction, just not have it labeled law of attraction, be like, oh, hey, that's something I do. Hey, that's something I've been learning. So anyway, we got 2 options here, Stevie, and it's up to you. We can talk for another 5 or so minutes or 10 or so minutes on this, or if you want to do a live reading.
I think I've taken it from fantasy far enough. If we just want to do the live reading, we can bring it right back to fantasy and book stuff.
Perfect. Let's do it. Let's do it.
You want me to? Oh, do you want to do a screen share of the image of my book cover?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so this is no longer the book cover. It's going to be a box set book cover. My artist had to drop out due to health issues, so I'm out $700.
Well, that's
yeah, but you know the universe does weird things. So I found a brand new cover artist that I'm working with now. He's from France, and I speak French. So there's 2 ways to get my point across.
Yeah.
Exciting. But I'll do a quick screen share of the old book cover, and we can all get an idea of where I'm going with the new book cover, if that's cool with you guys.
Yeah, and this is your new book, hadn't been released yet?
Yes, this has not been released yet. If you guys don't mind, I did just put up the first 5 chapters on Prolific Works. If you guys want to put the link down in the description, you know, if people want to go read the first 5 chapters.
Yeah, send it to us.
Awesome. Well, I'm doing the screen share. Can you guys see it now?
Yep. You have to talk though, or it doesn't switch to you.
Can you guys see it? Testing.
Yep.
That's it right there. What do you guys think?
It looks pretty awesome, man.
That's freaking sick.
So you got the T-Rex in the background. Her name is Jules, and her name is Jules because in her feathers, she has killed so many people who have chunked spears at her, and on these spears there were like hanging jewelry, and they got stuck in her mane, and so now she has this mane of black feathers and hanging jewelry. So her name is Jules, and she's a black feathered T-Rex. The main character is Finn Featherstone, and this is Jigsaw, which is covered up by the typography, which could be a blessing in disguise as to why the cover artist fell out. So
it's some excellent artwork, though.
That's awesome. What genre did you say it was again?
This is fantasy. This is coming of age sword and sorcery.
Okay, coming of age sword and sorcery. Sweet, sweet. That's what I kind of thought. It's
the only dinosaur book out there besides The Dinosaur Lords by Milan. Wow. So it's very risky, you know, because people might not want dinosaurs, but I think it's cool. And my brother is studying to be a paleontologist, so.
Hey, there you go.
Sweet.
I think Michael Anderley or somebody has one, but it's kind of a harem book, and I don't.
Yeah, it's Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of it, and mine is definitely not a harem. So I think that would be the only genre I could never write in.
Yeah, I agree. We're not even going to get off, Ryan and I. Standards for a while. Okay, back to the reading.
Okay, so this is chapter 1 in the Jigsaw Blade, book 1 in the Bizarre Blade series. Are you guys ready for this?
Yes, sir.
No, okay. I'm not ready. No.
Okay, so this is chapter 1, The Death Cage of Flying Doom. Finn Featherstone swung the bag of newly purchased art supplies over his shoulder, thanked the traveling merchant once more with a nod of his head, and turned to walk in the direction of home. He had a smile on his face, which was a rare occurrence since the death of his mother. Had a day gone by that she hadn't haunted his thoughts? His boots dropped into the snow with that crunching sound he found oh so satisfying. People probably thought him weird to walk on the untraversed paths of the city streets, but he didn't care. Stepping through soft, thick snow was a simple pleasure of his, and he wondered why no one else took advantage of it. Probably because he was the only strange one in the city, or at least that's how everyone made him feel. The sudden sound of flapping wings made him duck and cover his head. a habit of all those who lived in the frozen kingdom of Shimo Shimo. It was a land known for its frequent and abundant traveling Quetzalcoatlus, the largest species of pterosaurs, and they were even more common in the capital city, Sumatai, Finn's home. It was not uncommon for humans to become quick snacks for these beautiful winged reptiles. Finn waited a few moments before allowing himself to open his eyes and look at the sky. Nothing. Then where was the sound coming from? Oh no, please no, Finn whispered to himself as he looked down the icy streets headed to his home. Ahead of him was a crowd of people growing not only in number but also in excitement. He could picture them surrounding the death cage of Flying Doom, which had a more official name, but Finn preferred to call it what it was, as they observed the unlucky souls who had been sentenced to death by Pterosaur. Sure, most of the prisoners probably deserved what they had coming to them, but what a way to go! Death by Pterosaur must have been the worst death ever because, well, it wasn't quick. Sure, some lucky criminals got taken out fast, but Finn had seen other men with plucked out eyeballs begging for the long-beaked animals to finally pierce their throats. He hated the death cage. It wouldn't have been so bad if he didn't have to walk past the damn thing every single solitary day. But today of all days, he'd been given strict instructions by father to get the supplies and hurry home as fast as possible, as he had run out of paint just when he nearly finished his project. If the piece wasn't finished today, then father would have to reduce the price for having it complete a day late, which didn't seem fair to Finn, but that was the world he lived in. No one had patience for anything, and any good painter knew that fine art took time to create. Taking a deep breath, Finn made himself walk on. There were other routes he could have taken, but all of them would have taken double or more time to traverse. No, he needed to be a man and walk past the death cage of Flying Doom. If worst came to worst, he could always cover his ears, which would at least block out most of the screams of the dying criminals. The crowd of bloodlusting people paid Finn no attention, which he was certainly used to. He recognized many of them. There was Lily, the kind pastry maker, whose shop was only a few doors down from his home. She always had a warm smile on her face, but now her lips were curled back as she swore obscenities at the ones about to die. Her hair, usually in a bun, was undone and flapping wildly in the wind, making her look like a savage. And she wasn't alone. Everyone was there for a show. It was funny what a little bloodshed did to people. Finn stopped a few feet out from the crowd. A cracking noise came from above, and Finn quickly sidestepped just as a large chunk of ice crashed where he'd been standing. He was about to turn away when something sticking out of the stone made him stop. He bent a little closer, and it was a human finger. Quickly jumping back while trying not to puke, Finn's back bumped into something hard. He whipped around to see a man he didn't recognize. The stranger towered over Finn and didn't even bother to look down at him. He had long, ghost white hair, which didn't even compare to the whiteness of his skin. His one red eye stared at the cage. He said nothing and was so still that Finn thought he might actually have been frozen. Stranger still, he was wearing practically nothing, just a white fur cape and trousers with nothing to keep his hands or chest warm. Who was he? Where did he come from? Noticing that Finn was staring, the tall man looked down at him, bored his teeth, and hissed at him. Sorry about that, mister, Finn squeaked. I'll just be going now. Finn walked quickly around the albino, making sure to keep his head down. He could feel his heart beating fast in his chest. Could he go one day without getting in trouble? He was just about to make it to the end of the crowd. He could see the whiteness of the road ahead and the surrounding homes built on stilts. He focused on them, trying his best not to look at the cage. But he knew he would. He always looked. From what he could see between the people as he passed, Finn was able to make out 4 men and 2 women, all on their bellies and trying to remain as still as possible. This was the best tactic, but it never worked for long. The pterosaurs used for the execution were purposely starved, and wouldn't be long before they would be taking small, excruciating nibbles from their prey. As for the cage itself, it was made of thin pieces of bendable metal wire, which had been molded into tiny circles. These circles are then interconnected to make a wide, see-through metal fence, which was then wrapped around 4 tall wooden beams. Another layer of this metal fence would be placed over the top to make a ceiling. There were safer ways to build cages for pterosaurs, but those would have made watching the executions impossible, and they couldn't have that now, could they? Turning his head away, Finn cursed himself for this terrible compulsion of him. Why did he always have to look? It never made him feel better. It was that damn superstitious side of him. It told him that if he didn't look, then he would have a bad day. Or worse, he would end up in the cage himself. When his feet hit the snow at the far end of the crowd, Finn let out a sigh of relief. He was in the clear. He bent low and readied himself to run when a sudden change in the cries of people made him turn around. The faces of the people were twisted in horror rather than bloodthirsty glee. Finn followed their gaze, and it took him a few seconds to find what they were looking at. He gasped. A little girl, her skin covered in dirt and her clothes riddled with holes, climbed the side of the cage. She had brown hair, which explained her poor hygiene. Brown-haired people were on the lowest totem of the hierarchy. A few men had already taken to the metal-holed cage and were climbing as fast as they could. But of course, all of them had brown hair as well. No other person of colored locks would ever risk their lives for a spud. To make things worse, the entrance for the pterosaurs, a trapdoor situated at the bottom of the cage, had been opened by an unseen hand. The violent flapping of wings was so loud that it drowned out the noise of the crowd. An assortment of desperate pterosaurs pushed themselves out through the tiny hole in the ground and took flight inside the cage. Some, however, remained on the ground, stretching their wings while they stepped on the backs of cowering and whimpering criminals. The skin of the reptiles glistened with the redness of fresh blood, most likely that of each other. Different species of pterosaurs never got along well with one another, especially when starved and held in close proximity. There was a reason why there was such a high turnover of these animals. It wasn't because they were starved to death. It was because they killed each other while stored in the pit. Only the best ever made it out of the hole. Finn's heart was really racing now. He could easily continue ahead. He could run as fast as he could and make it to his home in just 5 minutes. But that was the thing. He was fast, and he was light. His heart told him that if he was who he should have been climbing the side of the cage, it should have been him climbing the side of the cage. He could reach the girl. He knew he could. But his brain told him he was a fool. His brain told him it was certain death if he tried something so crazy. So then, bag of supplies. Why were his legs carrying him to the death cage of flying doom? Before he knew it, he was climbing up the side of the cage. He could feel the eyes of the crowd, gawking at his speed as he ascended. Finn made sure that he didn't look down, but kept his face straight up in the air. His heart was in control, but his brain was catching up fast. What the hell am I doing? I'm going to be beat to death. The loud clanging of the chain-link cage had the pterosaurs in a riot. They were flying like mad, crashing into the walls of the cage, only to fly to the opposite side and crash there as well. One of them even slammed into the cage, only inches away from Finn's fingers. This was the moment he decided to climb back down. But then his eyes caught sight of the hole at the very top of the cage, which a pterosaur must have ripped open during the last execution. The hole was small enough not to be noticed by handlers, but just big enough for a little girl to fall through, and the child spud headed in its direction, a big, dumb smile on her face. Finn double-timed it. He ignored the pain in his fingers as he pulled himself on top of the cage and stood on wobbling feet. The girl had made it to the top as well and had already found the hole and decided that it must have been the best view. "No!" Finn cried, running towards the girl with his hands extended. The crowd was roaring now, but he ignored them as he focused on saving the little girl. He imagined plucking her off the ground, his hands beneath her tiny armpits. The pterosaurs flinging themselves against the wall of the cage made the ceiling bouncy, making it extremely difficult to stay upright. Sure enough, just when the little girl had situated her head above the hole, one of the reptiles flew directly at the ceiling. Finn saw it in his mind before it ever even happened and flung himself at the girl who was toppling forward, her eyes wide with fear, her mouth slowly opening. She fell through the hole just as Finn landed next to it, reaching his hand in as far as he could, and he felt skin. Looking down through the hole, Finn saw that he had caught only 2 fingers of the child. The problem was, he'd always had clammy hands, and today was no different. He tried his best to close his grip on her, but it was too late. The crowd fell silent as the little girl slipped from Finn's grasp and dropped to her death. Finn couldn't take his eyes off her tiny dark brown ones as he watched her fall in slow motion. His hands were still opening and closing when her body crashed into the snow below. Closing his eyes, Finn let out a curse, his bottom lip trembling from a combination of fear and sadness. He took in a couple of deep breaths before realizing that he needed to get off the top of the cage, and quick, or else, wham! Not just one, but 2 frantic pterosaurs collided into the cage underneath him, sending his body a few feet into the freezing air. His hands swam wildly in the sky as he fell forward, his head and half his shoulders landing into the open hole of the death cage. Just when he tried to pull himself out, one of the more muscular pterosaurs caught part of his fur coat in its beak and started to wrench him into its domain. "No, damn you! Let go of me!" Slipping one hand through the small opening, Finn tried punching at the beast's beak repeatedly, but it was no use. The pterosaur had nothing to lose and a fresh hot meal to gain. It wasn't going to let go no matter what he did, but he still had to try. Quickly, Finn pulled the other arm into the hole and tried to reach for the thing's beady black eyes, but its bobbing head moved too fast for him to grab. He felt himself being yanked more into the cage and tried to fit his hands back through the hole to pull himself out, but he couldn't. The more he struggled, the more he sank. With one final desperate move, Finn closed his eyes and swung a right cross at the pterosaur's head. He felt the leathery skin touch his knuckles as the punch made impact. The reptile opened its beak with a high-pitched scream as it fell to the ground, its wings flapping madly. Without wasting a moment, Finn brought his hands back through the hole and began pulling himself out. His face was halfway through the clearing when a pterodactyl, one of the more violent species of pterosaurs, flung itself from the opposite side of the cage directly at him. Its beak clamped down hard on one of his exposed fingers, making him cry in pain. Immediately, the ferocious reptile pulled at the digit, trying its best to swallow its catch. Finn had two options. One, he could let the pterodactyl take his finger. Or two, he could let go. He let go, and he fell. Thank you.
Nice.
Well done.
Sorry that took so long.
That's
No, that was good. I was in it at least.
Thank you. I'm glad. Did it all make sense through the microphone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
There was
okay.
one spot where it cut out for a couple seconds, but it was
Okay.
it didn't matter. Yeah, it picked up
Oh,
right
awesome.
after, and yeah, it worked. But sweet. Well, I'm buying it. So
Oh,
let
do
me
you
know when
like
it comes out.
I'm not, man. You killed the little girl. I'm not doing that.
Well, we don't know for sure if she's dead. We don't know for
Ooh,
sure.
ooh,
that is
this is
true.
true.
She did fall in snow, so we never know. She might have
This is
broken
true.
something, but she
Very
might
true.
seriously might be dead. It is me. I kill off a lot of people. So.
I was gonna say I like that. I could tell that right away. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move into our segment real quick and wrap this up. We're probably gonna go 5 minutes over. That's okay.
Okay, sure.
We're gonna move into what we're thankful for, and I'll start off real quick. I'm thankful for adventure, that we have just this ability in our lives to find adventure in the day-to-day, in bigger adventures, and just being able to live a life looking for adventure. So that's what I'm thankful for. And it doesn't hurt that I'm looking forward to New Zealand. So
Oh yeah.
that's a big adventure, but also learning to find every adventure, an adventure in every day, which is kind of what we're talking about. It's really changed my perspective, just looking for something exciting every day. Not every day has to be a grunge or boring. It can be, there's something every day that is exciting. So that's what I'm thankful for.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
I love that.
Go ahead, Stevie.
Okay, me. I am very thankful for Joshua and Ryan for having me on the air. Wow, how awesome was that? I'm sure other people have used that too.
Actually, no, that's the first time.
you're
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel
Brownie
like-
points.
Yeah, I feel like everybody has to do that now. We'll just put it
Yeah.
in. Thank
We'll be
us.
looking for it. I'm also
No, but we appreciate all the help you and Andy gave us when we were first getting started, because we got a lot
no
of the
problem.
the foundation from you guys for sure.
I'm a big believer that the more we give, it comes back to us 10 times over. So,
Yep.
and I don't say that just like to give and expect. No, give and feel good about it. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
and that's hard to do whenever you know this secret, but I like feeling good giving to people. So yeah, I'm so glad you guys are doing so well. I mean, 189 subscribers so quickly. It's awesome. And doing an episode a month. That's freaking amazing. And your videos are so high quality. I love it. It's so organized. I need to take note. But I'm also grateful for I wanted to say being able for God letting me to express my views on how people can become more successful and to obtain what they've always desired and not feel bad about it.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good. That's good.
That is good.
Ryan.
And I'm thankful for, I'm going to kind of tangent off of that or carry off of that we live in a time where the resources to do and find all this information and to better yourself are readily and pretty cheaply available. I mean, at the price of an ebook, you know, at the minimum, or watching some YouTube videos that are probably free. So I'm thankful for the availability of information. Sometimes too much information that you got to weed through, but sometimes that's half the battle, is learning what doesn't work. So that's what I'm thankful for.
Very true. No, that's
Beautiful.
good. Okay, so where can all these viewers and listeners find you, Stevie? And we'll drop. We got a couple links in here to your whatever links you put in our forum thing. But anyway, where can readers find you?
Sure. So the easiest way to find me, to find my books and the about me and how to contact me would be steviecollier.com. And I am getting really good at Instagram. So that is instagram.com/Stevie Collier author. But I'm also on Facebook, and I do that as well. Facebook.com/Stevie. I got to put poop into your podcast at least once. You know what? The penis thing was hard because I usually. Anyway. Oh, this is not the Fantasy podcast. There it is. The wiener. Okay. And Facebook. God, my girlfriend's gonna watch this. She's like, "Of course, he said it. He said it.
He had to."
After talking law of attraction and God, he says wiener. Good.
Yeah.
Facebook.com/Stevie Collier author. And if you guys have any questions at all, I mean anything about the law of attraction, you can email me at stevie.fiction@gmail.com.
Sweet.
Awesome.
And I'll give you guys some links. And this reading, I have 5 chapters out on Prolific Works, which is like almost 10,000 words of a sample.
Wow.
And also a chance to be a part of the launch too, if they desire. So if you guys wouldn't mind putting that link, I'll send it to you guys when it's available. I just put it up.
Sweet.
Yeah, no, that'd be perfect. We'll drop that in here too.
So
awesome.
Well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate being on the air with you guys, and this has been so much fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, dude, we really appreciate it. And again, echoing Josh, thanks for all the advice, and thanks for coming on, dude. Thanks for coming.
No problem. I look forward to seeing you guys becoming even more successful because this is giving a lot of value. I already feel it, and I'm so excited to see you guys to continue growing. And I'll definitely be pushing you guys on the Fantasy Fiends podcast as well. So
awesome. Yeah, Andy doesn't do a good job of that.
Yeah, that piece of shit. No, I'm kidding. No, he was talking crap about me today. He had a special podcast on the Fantasy Fiends and I wasn't invited, and I went on just when he was making fun of me. So he deserves it.
He deserves it, yes.
He deserves it.
I'll tell him to watch this whole episode, and then he'll get his little punch there at the end.
Go to the end. I call you a bad word, mister.
I like it.
Oh, man.
I like it. Well, all you viewers, thanks for watching. Listeners, thanks for listening. Tune in next time for episode 3 of season 2, where we discuss something. We will figure out the topic later on. We are not quite that organized yet, but I'll be in New Zealand when we do that one. So it's going to be a little interesting because I'm going to be 20 hours difference from here. So we'll be figuring that out. So bear with us when we're doing that, but it should be a fun topic. We might even do something related to something.
And anyway, remember to like and subscribe to Kickass podcast.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, I like it. I like when the guest knows what's going on.
I know what's going on.
No, that's exactly it. That was what I was going to say. Make sure to like.
Oh,
subscribe.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, I like it. I like it. I like this. It makes my job that much easier.
I love. Yeah. Well, I'd love to be on the air sometime. I know you guys only got 12 podcasts a year, so if somebody ever drops out, you can pay me my $100 that you did for this episode. And
oh man, shit's getting deep now.
Okay, it was 200.
Oh man!
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. This is awesome.
You're welcome. Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir. And if you're listening on the podcast, leave a rating. Don't forget to share it with your friends. Word of mouth is how all these things keep going and get spread.
And lastly, if you want to stay involved in between these month break in between episodes, make sure to get on the Facebook group, the Kickass Readers Guild, which we will have linked to this video. That's all for me.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Take it easy, people.